Welcome, my friend. I will not stall. Let us see how Alara responds to her call.
Title: Chronicle of the Seers' Orb, a story by Ariel Sparks, a novel first draft, copyright Ariel Sparks 2025, Chapter 5, A Mother's Determined Resolve. The night was a tapestry of worry and restless dreams, the shadows in their cottage seeming to hold secrets of their own. As dawn began to peek through the windows, painting the walls with the soft glow of a new day, the family rose, the events of the night still heavy upon their hearts. Theodore sat at the breakfast table, a map of Vanda Wood laid before him, his finger tracing the path to the Whispering Grove. His eyes met Lilith's, the unspoken question hanging in the air like the scent of morning dew. "We must keep this knowledge close," he began, "lest this knowledge stir more than just our curiosity." Lilith nodded, her gaze flicking to Timothy and Alara, who were playing a game of marbles in the corner. "The villagers are not ready for this," she murmured. They would see her as a beacon of hope or a harbinger of doom. Timothy, ever the pragmatist, looked up from his game in the corner and said, "We cannot keep this hidden forever. Word will spread, and gossip are not easily silenced." His voice a mix of skepticism and acceptance. Lilith set a plate of warm bread before her husband. "Timothy is right," she said. "The less the villagers know, the better. They are good people, but fear breeds suspicion, and suspicion can turn to anger as swift as the turning of the leaves in autumn." Days turned into weeks, the drumbeat of fate growing ever louder in their quiet lives. Theodore felt the anticipation coil tighter with each passing moment. The orb's secrets, a siren's call that grew stronger with each dawn. Yet Lilith remained a steadfast bastion of doubt, her eyes searching the horizon for any sign of the Grand Elder's summons. "Theodore," she began one evening, as they sat by the flickering fire, her voice a soft melody that seemed to carry the weight of unspoken fears. "Alara is but a child. Can we not seek the counsel of the wise before sending her alone into the arms of fate?" Theodore looked at his wife, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. He knew her heart was torn, fear for their daughter's safety battling with the excitement of the unknown. "Lilith," he said, "the Grand Elder is as ancient as those of wisdom themselves, and she has chosen Alara for this path." "But why can't I go with her?" she pressed, the softness in her tone a stark contrast to the steel in her gaze. "Why must she face this alone?" Theodore took a deep breath, the fire's warmth doing little to ease the tension in his chest. His words were clear, Lilith, he soothed. "The journey to the Grand Elder is a solitary one. It is a rite of passage, a test of courage and wisdom. Alara must face it alone." The following dawn, as the dew kissed the leaves of the orchard outside, a gentle rapping echoed through the cottage, a sound as inevitable as the turning of the seasons. Theodore's heart quickened, his hand clenching around his mug of tea. Lilith's eyes grew wide, the color draining from her cheeks. The children, sensing the shift in the air, fell silent. The door swung open to reveal Maziba, the guardian of the Whispering Grove, his emerald eyes piercing the early morning light like shards of jade. His armor gleamed in the nascent sun, the shadows of the dawn retreating before his presence. "The calls grow louder," he announced without preamble. "Alara's time has come to walk the path of the guardians." Lilith darted forward, her eyes filled with a fiery determination of protection. "Maziba," she began, "I implore you, let me accompany her. She is but a child, and the world beyond our village walls is vast and unknowable." Her voice a mix of desperation and hope. Maziba looked down at her, his emerald gaze unyielding. "Your love for your daughter is a beacon that pierces the very veil of the world," he rumbled. "But this journey, it is one she must undertake alone. It is the way of the guardians, as unbending as the beam of the sun's rays at dawn. Lilith's eyes searched his, a silent plea that seemed to resonate through the very air. "But she is just a girl," she whispered, her voice a soft breeze that could not sway the stoic protector. "And yet she carries the heart of a lion. Understand, Lilith. The Grand Elder does not choose by age or stature, but by the courage that dwells within." With a swiftness in contrast to her fear, Lilith dashed back into the cottage, her feet barely touching the cool stone floor. She barreled into Alara's room, the door slamming shut behind her like the final beat of a drum. The girl looked up from her bed, her eyes wide with confusion, the morning light playing with the strands of her golden hair like a painter's brush. "Mother, what is it?" she asked softly. Lilith scooped her up, her arm trembling with the weight of her own resolve. "You shall not go," she voiced fiercely, her eyes burning with a mother's protective flame. "I will not let you face this danger alone." But Alara, with a maturity beyond her years, placed her small hand upon Lilith's cheek, her touch as gentle as a butterfly's wing. "Mother," she said, her voice a soft bell in the tumult of their emotions, "the ancients have chosen me, and I must answer their call." Lilith's eyes searched hers, a silent plea for her daughter to stay, to remain in the cocoon of their love and safety, but the girl's gaze was firm, destiny already beginning to color her eyes. "Alara, are you certain?" she breathed. The girl nodded, the rays of dawn playing upon her cheeks as she spoke. "I have been chosen, Mother. I must answer their call." Maziba offered no protest to Lilith's determined resistance, his eyes unreadable as he nodded once. "I shall return," he said in an ominous tone. "Prepare yourselves, for when I do, the Grand Elder will demand an audience with Alara." With a final solemn look at the family, he turned on his heel and strode out into the early morning light, his cloak billowing like the wings of a great bird taking flight. The door closed behind him with a sound as final as the closing of a tomb. Theodore bolted from the door. His heart pounded in his chest like the drum of a distant army as he rushed to Alara's chamber, the urgency in his stride echoing through the corridor. He threw open the door to find Lilith clutching their daughter, her eyes alight with a fierce protectiveness that could have held back the very tides of the sea. "Lilith!" he bellowed, his voice a tempest of anger and disbelief. "What madness is this? To turn away the guardian is to spur the rancor of the ancients themselves." But Lilith's gaze was unyielding, her eyes, two sapphires gleaming with a fierce resolve. "I will not have our daughter marched off like a lamb to the slaughter," she declared. Theodore took a step back, his face a canvas of bewilderment. With a tone of frustration and affection, he said, "Lilith, my dear, you know as well as I do that this is no ordinary calling. The wisest among us have chosen Alara, and we must honor their will." The room was a tempest of emotions, each word a gust of wind that stirred the flames of their debate, the pervasiveness of the rays of dawn seeming to match the intensity of their conversation, casting sharp shadows upon the walls. Lilith's eyes searched her husband's, a silent challenge. "And what if their will is not hers?" she countered, her voice a soft yet unyielding flame. Theodore paced the room, his boots striking the floor with the rhythm of a warrior's march. "Fate has chosen her," he reiterated. "It is a destiny none can ignore, not even the fiercest of mothers." Lilith's eyes flashed with the fire of 1,000 suns. "And what of her childhood?" she demanded. "What of the laughter and games, the warmth of our embrace?" Theodore stopped pacing, his gaze softening like the edges of a storm-tossed sea. "We shall cherish those moments, my love," he said, his voice a gentle rumble. "But the order of our natural world do not care for our mortal concerns. They call to those who can hear, and we must not stand in Alara's way. We have made it through another chapter. This one I found short and passionate. Feel free to share what effect this narration had on your emotions as we continue on this story's journey. Oh, and yes, give it a like if you deem my oratorical expressions worthy. And I invite you to return next week for the 6th chapter of my novel, A Dance with the Dark Sentinel.